All right, so our lead this hour is from Pro Bouncy Ball. As a caller, I think it was Randy from Norman, Oklahoma, got very upset when I said in copy that was given to me for a commercial, bouncy. And he did not like that at all. But the craziness that's going on, everyone's buzzing. The league's rigged. They took care of the Lakers yet again. So I don't know if you saw the comments made by the owner of the team that won the genetic lottery, but maybe not. So during a recent radio interview on National Public Radio, because that's what we need to hear about, the Lakers, the owner of the team, Jeanie Buss, yeah, I called her an owner, I'm a rebel, Jeanie Buss, who inherited the team, didn't do anything to make any real money, just happened to win the genetic lottery, and her dad was rich, and so she got the team. So Jeanie Buss pushes back on the notion that things always seem to work out. They essentially have a three-leaf clover shoved up there, you know what, right? They got a lucky clover shoved up there. The purple and gold. Now, this is in reference to the Luka Dončić trade. Luka, not really a trade. Trade is where you give people an opportunity to bid on an item, and you're trying to work out a deal to help your franchise the most. Nico in Dallas just said, screw it. We want to help the Lakers out. Now, the money quote, I'm not going to waste your time with all this other nonsense. The money quote from Jeanie Buss. She said, quote, people feel somehow the Lakers have an unfair advantage, but that is not true. Close quote. All right, so let us discuss the Lakers' Nepo owner, Jeanie Buss, insisting recently that the Lakers do not have an unfair competitive advantage in comparison to the rest of the NBA at getting star players. So how would you describe these comments? I've got vinyl albums, Hello Kitty, and glass of water. And we will combine all of these together, and we are going to make a turducken. That's right. My buddy Sports with Coleman was at a restaurant in Florida, and they were serving turducken. I've never heard of a restaurant. I guess in Louisiana they do it. I think that's where John Madden, the old broadcaster back in the day, got it. But turducken. All right, so first of all, my first thought is, how would you describe these comments? Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs is how I would describe them. Who wants to be the person to tell Jeanie Buss? Who wants to be the one to tell Jeanie Buss, hey, Jeanie, you might be a little off on that take. You might have missed the bullseye there. Bad job by you. Jeanie is selling vinyl albums to low-information fans, right? Tone-deaf records, we'll call it. Tone-deaf records, proving if she really believes this. And again, the quote that we are parsing the words of, people feel somehow the Lakers have an unfair advantage, but that is not true. If she truly believes that, then I don't know that we can save her. I know she's the girl in the bubble. She's lived the charmed life, born on third base. She thinks she hit a triple. This is all public knowledge, right? This is all public knowledge. And I get that this is the only thing she knows. That's the world she grew up in, and she's always been loaded because her dad was loaded and hadn't really worked for anything. But there's a long history going back many generations of these things always working out in the franchise's favor. The scorecard is lopsided. She mentioned in this interview the Pau Gasol trade, which was another ridiculous trade where Jerry West took care of the Lakers and did them a solid, and Pau Gasol dropped into the Lakers' lap after Shaq had left and the Lakers did not have a championship-level team. They were just given Pau Gasol for a bag of stale peanuts at that time. And so now the latest train heist is Luka and all that, which, again, is looking more and more by the day like a cloak and dagger mission, that there was some kind of meddling from the league office. I can't imagine that even if Nico Harrison wanted to trade Luka, any owner like the Dallas Mavericks new ownership group, the Adelson family, would sign off on that without some kind of higher up from the league office saying, boy, this would be really good. Those TV people are paying a lot of money and no one's watching our product. Our product, the ratings are in the toilet. We really would need, that would help us out a lot. That would do us a solid. That would be a great mitzvah. And so here we go. And you're protecting the tarnished Laker brand. The team's such a joke, they hired a podcaster as a coach. So either the league office meddled or Nico Harrison really is just a dink and he pulled the trigger. And I believe that the tentacles go much deeper, but we'll find out eventually. We'll find out. And years ago, back, you are such a fanboy. Years ago, when the NBA had a real commissioner that had basketballs, David Stern, he vetoed the Chris Paul trade. Other than that, it has been preferential treatment. Now, Jeanie Buss also, talk about being classless. Jeanie Buss took shots at Anthony Davis on his way out to Dallas, saying, I'm not going to give you the whole quote here, but I'll give you the top part. The Nepo owner of the Lakers, Jeanie Buss, said AD was complaining about where he was being played, and he wasn't happy. And then she complained about losing to the Nuggets year after year. So you talk about catching unexpected strays if you're Anthony Davis, right? The unibrow, as I recall, and listen, I certainly am on the other side of this, but Street Clothes was trying to get the Laker front office to upgrade the roster. He felt the roster was not good enough, and he did get his wish. They did upgrade the roster. He was collateral damage. Be careful what you wish for. All right, now, secondly, we go to baseball. You talk about scraping the bottom of the barrel. Can someone let baseball players know that we have a talk show to do every night? They might want to do things that are interesting, say things that are interesting for the talk show. Is there anyone more boring than baseball players during spring training? Holy crap. Well, I did find something that caught my attention, and it involves a team we don't talk about very much. Why would we? They suck. The Seattle baseball team. Now, this comes out of Chicago Cubs camp. One of the great Dodgers of the last 20 years, the Garden Gnome, Justin Turner, who's the ultimate journeyman. He was a journeyman before he went to the Dodgers, and now he's a journeyman once he left the Dodgers. Since he left the Dodgers, he has played for the Red Sox, the Blue Jays, the Mariners. Now he's on the Chicago Cubs. Bounced all over the place. Anyway, get to the point, please. So Justin Turner says he is disappointed. He's disappointed the Mariners did not have a better offseason, even though he's with the Chicago Cubs. And Turner's point is, listen, they missed the postseason by one game. Numero uno, one game. And they didn't do enough to improve the offense there in Seattle. So is that criticism fair or foul? Fair or foul? So after a peek at instant replay, fair ball! That is a fair ball is what it is. All right, so here's the deal. The lone move, and I think I'm right on this. I didn't see anything else that rose to the level of high crimes and misdemeanors. Jorge Polanco. Let me repeat that for those of you in the back of the room, a little slow. The Seattle Mariners added one player that we've heard of in the offseason, and we barely heard of this guy, Jorge Polanco. Can we please hit the snooze button? Now, I actually have the answer, though. I'm going to tell Justin Turner, and I'm going to tell anyone else, all 7 Mariner fans left, the answer. I remember when I went to Seattle last time in 2019 with Jay Scoop. We had the MALLER meet and greet, which was just before COVID. But that was a crazy couple months. It was in December of 2019. Last weekend of the NFL regular season, the Seahawks were playing the 49ers. We had JJ and Renton, Robbie the Mariner fan, Nostradine, big names in the Maller militia. A bunch of other guys I'm forgetting, but they were all there. And I remember walking by the Seattle Mariners team store, and I said, that's the most depressing place in all of Seattle. And I was right. But I'm going to explain here the deal with the Mariners, okay? Why they're not upset, why they're just taking the slow road to nowhere. because the Mariners' mission statement, the franchise charter, is to be unexceptional. Now, they don't want to be bad. They don't want to be bad. They just don't want to be really good. How do we know that? Because they said the quiet part out loud. That little weasel, Jerry DiPoto, he's a little weasel, the head of baseball ops. He essentially played Hello Kitty and let the cat out of the bag a couple years back. The Mariners didn't do anything at the trade deadline a couple years ago, and they were very upset by that. And so the GM, Jerry DiPoto, said the goal of the franchise every year is to not be like the Army and be all you can be. They just want to win 54% of their games. Now, do you know what a 54% winning percentage looks like in baseball? That's 88 wins, 74 losses. That's a 542 winning percentage. So the idea is if the Mariners are just an 88-win team, if they do that for 10 years, the nerds, and even though Jerry DiPoto played in the major leagues for a couple of years, he's deferring to the nerds on this. The nerd math says that they will end up in the postseason enough over 10 years, and with a little bit of dumb luck, they'll end up in the World Series. Now, the Mariners are the last team standing that has never been to the World Series. Every other team has been to the World Series. Most of them have won the World Series, but not the Seattle Mariners. They're holding out. All right, now, final thought. We go to the NFL, the National Football League. Quickly, how would you describe the Tennessee Titans and the now reported interest in Sam Darnold? So what level of interest does Tennessee have in Sam Darnold? So the Titans' philosophy here is measured. And we're hearing that they're not exactly smitten with the draft. And I agree based on what I have read, which is a couple of scouting guides, and I watched some clips on YouTube. I don't see any generational offensive talent. I like this Abdul Carter, the edge guy from Penn State. But other than him, there's nothing that's really all that exciting. Nothing that's jumps off the page. So publicly, the Titans are considering Cam Ward, the Miami quarterback, late of Washington State, and Penn State's Abdul Carter, who I just mentioned. I like him. Privately, they are desperately hoping that some dumb team like the Cleveland Browns or the Giants trade up to get that number one. Number one. A little late on that. Number one overall pick. Now, this means, all right, that Tennessee, they would like to go for quantity over quality. And you need a quarterback, the Mayo man, Will Levis. You'd be better off with a tub of mayo under center, unless you want a medley of mistakes. He's really good at the medley of mistakes. So Sam Darnold is a contingency plan. Now, we would describe their level of interest in Sam Darnold in Tennessee as a glass of water at room temperature. Lukewarm. Not Luke Skywalker, lukewarm. And the Titans, they say, well, they have some interest in Darnold, who's in free agency and all that, if he is willing to play for $30 million a year. Can you imagine living in a world where $30 million is a bargain deal for a player who you know is going to self-destruct? My God. Anyway, it's like when you sign Sam Darnold, and if you play Sam Darnold, it's like you're running the Indy 500, and your car can only go for 480 miles. It will not make the 500. You have no chance of winning the race, but you might be leading the race after 200 miles or 300 miles, but you know in the end, you're not going to win. You're not going to have the milk poured over your head.